The Yukon wilderness is a harsh mistress. It demands respect. It tests your spirit at every turn. For a young man like Parker Schnabel, it was the ultimate proving ground. The 2024 season wasn't just about finding gold. It was about pushing beyond the known limits. Parker set a goal that sounded insane: $50 million. Not in a lifetime, but in a single brutal season. It wasn't just a number, a declaration of war against the odds, against the frozen earth, against the doubts in the freezing air. The first weeks of any mining season are a gut check. You're waking up machines frozen solid for months. The ground is still hard, fighting you every inch of the way. Parker's crew hit the ground running. No time for a gentle start. He made a bold call: strip more ground than ever before. A huge risk. First cleanouts were promising, not record-breaking, but a steady stream of gold. Crucial, literal and metaphorical fuel. It validated Parker's gamble. But the wilderness fights back. A hydraulic line burst on a primary excavator. Operations halted. Downtime is the enemy. It eats profits and morale. As the season progressed, the ground they were working, while profitable, wasn't yielding the spectacular numbers needed to reach $50 million. Parker had another claim, further north, an untouched piece of land called the Last Cut. It was a massive gamble. The crew was skeptical. Why abandon that for a complete unknown? This is where leadership is tested. The decision was made. The Great Migration began. It was a logistical ballet of brute force, building roads through muskeg, dismantling a machine the size of a house. Once they arrived at the Last Cut, the real work began. Reassembling Big Red was a monumental task. There was no room for error. The first cleanout from the Last Cut was unlike anything they had ever seen. When they pulled the miner's moss from the sluices, it was heavy, unbelievably heavy. As they washed it out, the gold didn't just appear, it poured out. It wasn't fine flakes, it wasn't small pickers, it was coarse, it was chunky, it was heavy gold. A wave of stunned silence followed by shouts of disbelief and elation swept through the crew. This wasn't just good ground, it was a treasure chest. Parker's gamble had paid off in the most spectacular way imaginable. He had tapped directly into the mother lode, a channel missed by generations of old-timers. With the mother lode confirmed, the operation shifted into overdrive. There was just no time for celebration. The workdays stretched to 18, sometimes even 20 hours. The team operated under the perpetual daylight, a relentless cycle of digging, hauling, washing. They ate in shifts, repaired machines on the fly, kept the dirt moving around the clock. The milestones started to fall at an astonishing rate. The first 1,000-ounce week was a massive achievement. Then came a 2,000-ounce week. The numbers were staggering. This relentless pace took its toll. But the crew had become a well-oiled machine themselves. Teamwork was the glue that held it all together. The heart of the record-breaking season was the non-stop operation of the wash plants. Big Red, Slucifer. These steel behemoths became living creatures, roaring by day, roaring by night. Parker decided to run them around the clock with 2 crews, each working grueling 12-hour shifts. The plant's sound became the camp's heartbeat. Gold cleanouts became a ritual. The numbers on the scale were their report card. Hundreds of ounces piled up from a single day's work. They blew past $20 million, then $30 million. The constant flow of gold, the Golden River, gave the crew belief. They weren't just chasing a record, they were shattering it. As the season drew to a close, a dusting of snow on the mountains, a sharper bite in the morning air. The race was truly on. They were agonizingly close to the $50 million mark. The day of the final gold weigh was filled with a nervous energy. They had collected all the gold from the final cleanouts. The pans were heavy, full of the coarse nuggets that had defined their season. Parker, with his crew gathered around him, began the methodical process of weighing the last of their treasure. He added the final pan. The numbers on the scale flickered and then settled. They hadn't just reached their goal, they had crushed it. The total value soared past the $50 million mark. A roar erupted from the crew. They had climbed their mountain. They were standing on the summit. In the quiet aftermath of the final weigh-in, with the machines falling silent for the long winter, the true meaning of the achievement began to sink in. For Parker, this was never just about the money. The success was life-changing for every member of the crew. But it was more than that. They had been part of something legendary. They had a story they would tell for the rest of their lives. Parker Schnabel's legacy is now permanently carved into the frozen earth of the Yukon. He proved that a new generation of miners could honor the traditions of the past while pushing the industry into the future. He came to the Yukon as a boy with a dream, and will leave it as a king with a kingdom built of grit and gold. Parker Schnabel's name will now forever be etched in the annals of Gold Rush history. Please subscribe to our channel History Documentary Hub for more insightful videos and intriguing content.